Historia, which was like this bit. That's the thing this timeline comes from is this big book that they released alongside for the 25th. That was 2011 was the 25th anniversary of Zelda. That's why they did all this. It's this guy. He teaches you. He's super sick looking. He teaches you moves.
It's real cool looking.
Yeah, and he has a wolf because in Twilight Princess you turn into a wolf and stuff.
For reasons.
Yeah. Because like how Link to the Past is like the Dark World and Light World, Twilight Princess is like your own world, and then the Twilight World, and that's where Midna comes from. It's like she's like.
And the Twilight World is an alternate realm.
Yes, that's.
It makes a huge distinction
between. What is the Dark World? It's like
the Dark World
is the sacred realm.
Yes, is the sacred realm, but corrupted.
Yeah. And then Twilight Realm is like a alternate dimension. It's like the Para Hyrule. Well, that's also
no, because we've got low rule.
A Link Between Worlds was like a sequel. Yes. If you thought Minish was the most uncreative thing ever, Low Rule is even more uncreative.
There's a Hyrule, a Low Rule, and a Twilight Forest. Are these all in every game?
No.
It's usually
there's only one Low Rule, and there's a bunch of Hyrules.
Well, Hyrule is like the same thing.
Hyrule is your main stage.
What I like to think of it, but why I disregard the timeline, is I think of it, it's called The Legend of Zelda. Legends get distorted and stuff, and so you never have all the facts perfectly there. So it makes sense
but they'll reference the games as their own in-universe legends.
Yes, that is true.
And sometimes as history.
Okay, yeah, at the beginning of Wind Waker, there's like a little scroll that like it's really sick actually.
It's really cool.
And it's like talking about
the events of Ocarina of
Time. But then, okay, so see, if there was like a hero's like downfall timeline, wouldn't it have made sense for Wind Waker because they say that the hero was absent for like a while.
Yes, but okay, so right in the adult era, okay.
Yes.
Theoretically, in the adult era, Link doesn't go back as a kid. He stays in the future era.
Okay, that's the funny thing is how they say when Link goes back to being a kid. In the end credits of Ocarina of Time, like young Link goes to Zelda with all the knowledge of the events that happened.
So the Ocarina of Time is
Ganondorf. He is like the king's vizier, basically, and he becomes evil because he gains power through Hyrule, and that's like how he like is able to like basically do this coup on Hyrule, and that's how he like takes over Hyrule.
Ganondorf?
Yes, Ganondorf.
So Ganondorf's the king of the Gerudo people.
And there's a one man every 100 years. Yes, it's a race of female like Amazonian, Muslim, Arab-inspired like culture.
Desert thieves, right?
Yeah, desert thieves.
Oh.
And there's one male born to the tribe every 100 years, and he's the king of them.
Yes.
Oh, and this is, okay, so I've played a little bit of, Smash Bros. Is this where Sheik comes in?
Sheik? No.
I know Sheik is related to this in some way.
Sheik is a part of the Sheikah tribe. Really
very clever.
Yes.
Sheikah tribe, her name's Sheik.
After Ganondorf takes over, you see Zelda and Impa, who is another member of the Sheikah. They're very mysterious. They work behind, they're like basically a ninja tribe who work
the
behind
Sheikah
the scenes.
Are known as the Shadow People.
Yes, they work behind the scenes, but they really have close ties to the royal family of Hyrule. And that's why Impa like safeguards Zelda when Ganondorf takes over. She's like her caretaker. Impa is Zelda's caretaker.
Impa's always
the
the caretaker.
Ganondorf takes over Hyrule in Ocarina of Time at the end of the when you become an adult. And so then Zelda has to hide her identity from Ganondorf, and so she becomes a part of the Sheikah, and she transforms into Sheik. It's debated whether she does it physically or magically because she like has more of a like male appearance, and so because throughout the whole game they keep referring to as Sheik as that young man who like keeps showing up and like telling you she'll teach you the song.
He's like the guide for the adult version, adult portion of the game.
The adult portion of the game, like Sheik will show up, and you have no idea she's Zelda at that point.
Until the very end.
And then like she'll reveal that she's Zelda at the end and be like, I was hiding away, I hid my identity so Ganondorf can find me. Immediately after she shows you that she's Zelda, Ganondorf is like, spotted you, captures her.
Literally. It's like, you don't even finish the conversation.
Basically, yeah. She gives you your light arrows and he's like, you dumb woman, and he takes her away. It's very, very hilarious.
And that
like,
just is
these are children's games.
It's so chaotic and complex.
That's what I'm saying. One of the coolest things about Zelda
was the dungeons.
You hear the dungeon's unique theme, except in the 2D games. The 2D games kind of
let's see.
You hear the dungeon's unique theme, the dungeon's unique look, the dungeon's unique boss, what does Breath of the Wild do? The same look, the same music, the same boss. It's just like Ganondorf.
Is it just Ganondorf 4 times?
It's Ganondorf 4
Essentially.
times, but
It's Ganondorf 4 times.
representing 4 different elements.
This is
God.
one of the best
This is
temples in the
Majora's Mask.
series.
Okay, you go through it, you're like, oh, this dungeon's cool. That flips on its head, the music plays in reverse.
Yes,
and
it's so
good. The music
genius.
was composed to sound like similar to how it sounds like normally. Like
It was very well done.
It is so good.
It was very well
one
done.
One of the best dungeons in the game. And it's the final dungeon of Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask has 4 dungeons, but that's excusable
because
it
they're
have a
good
massive,
dungeons.
Yes, and it doesn't have a massive open world that you have to call across to just finish these. And they all are unique and have their own boss. Oh my god, it's so sick.
But anyways, do you now feel educated on Legends of Zelda?
I definitely know a lot more than I did before.
I would hope so.
It's way more like in depth than I actually thought because in my brain there was only like 4 games.
Really?
Honestly, we have only skimmed the surface because people have theorized this to death.
We've also talked for like 3 hours.
Yeah, Zelda is very much like
2.
Pokemon, except it didn't get worse with time, but it is true that everyone has like an entry that they just really love, like an individual.
Yes.
Yeah. There's something to love about every single one for the most part, except.
That brings me to, I guess, like my personal last thing that I'd be curious of. If I was to only play 1, which one should I play? And then if I was to play 3,
okay.
or if I was to play 1 and then like from that 1, what would I play for the next
so
one?
you will hear different
But if I only
different answers from different people.
Yeah.
But you two. Well, if I was to play 1 and you two were to agree, which would I play?
cannot
Oh.
give a definitive answer.
I'm not
between
sure
Link
we'd
to the
agree.
Past and Ocarina of Time, because A Link to the Past.
I
is
would
certainly
start with The Link to
encapsulated-
the Past. That's the one I'd start
Probably,
with.
Yeah.
It's more narratively, in my opinion, and I'm biased because Link to the Past is my favorite Legends of Zelda. I find it more narratively appealing, despite the fact that in-game there's very little narrative to explore.
It's the same with Adventures. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was expanded on with like the main.
Yeah. But if you want like a very traditional Zelda game,
Yeah.
I've never touched it, never played any of them.
Link to the Past
Link
is
to the Past,
Link to the
probably.
Past is probably the
If you
best
want
one
play
to
a
start
3D
with.
one, if you want to play a 3D one, I would say Ocarina.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I
Also-
gathered from the way
Yeah.
you guys broke it down.
There
Or-
are 3DS
or-
releases of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Or
3DS
if you
one-
don't want to do Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. It's
Yeah.
not very Zelda
Actually, I would say if
traditional
you don't
just
wanna do
because
Ocarina of Time, I would do although actually, well, it's more of the same. But the thing about Majora's
Twilight
Mask
Princess is closer to
Majora's Mask is
Ocarina
like
of Time
more
narrative style.
stand out. Like,
Yeah,
there's
if you
nothing
want a
else that-
standout 3D Zelda game, Majora's
Yeah.
Mask. It's got really great tracks. It's got a lot of features that are just a lot of fun.
But
It's
it
a
is
little
also-
hard to track what you're supposed to do
Yeah.
when. And that's the only reason I wouldn't say it's a good one to start with.
The time
You've got to keep a track of what you need to do and who you've talked to.
Yeah, you get a little notebook in the game.
Yeah.
There's notebook that is kind of helpful with tracking.
NPC dialogues is especially important because they'll tell you things that you need to know for.
At least you can re-talk to them, whereas
Yeah.
some of the other ones, an NPC will say something and then your text box will change to something.
Yep.
Links and especially.
Yeah.
But I would say Ocarina of Time for 3D one, Link to Past. Both Ocarina of Time and Link to Past really like encapsulate what makes Zelda. They are not the most unique ones, certainly not. They're
No.
way more standard than everything else.
But they're like
They're
They
the
encapsulate
staples.
Zelda, like
Yeah.
the spirit of Zelda, the most. That's the thing. And
Yep.
probably the best.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.